And now, in another desperate attempt to get this show off the ground, the vain, the villainous, the vile Victorian! Welcome back, folks, assuming at least a few of you are returning fans. As for the rest, I am the vile Victorian, host of, well, we'll get to that. Stay tuned. On this show, we discuss questions or topics regarding whatever hyperfixation I happen to have at the time. Last week, month, 2 months, oh dear. Last time, we discussed the upcoming indie game Ina Dream BBQ. For those who don't know, Ina is about watch the last video. We'll be waiting. Well, assuming you were nice and submissive just now, we're back. Here to talk about Ina yet again. We even managed to get sound effects for the televiewer. Ooh. Okay, that wasn't very good. Can we get it oiled or something? Okay, you need to retract it to repair it. Alright then. Well, today, we're going to be talking about Ina yet again. I did say we'd be trying to figure out a little mystery, didn't I? If the Ina from the original series and the Ina from fantastic, now I'm flubbing my lines. From the new Dream BBQ are the same person. Is BBQ Ina a future version of Ina 1, or a past version? Or her sister? Or the complete stranger and we're all being rude assuming they have anything to do with each other? Let's find out, shall we? But first, a little thing for the show I'd like to implement. A new segment! I'll call it the Comment Awards, spelled with only one M to avoid infringement, where I select a few comments to be put on the spotlight from a past episode for further discussion. Not to worry, our dear silly little plant was asked permission to use their ask. Wait, no, this isn't an ask, this is a comment. I need to edit this! Not to worry, our dear silly little plant was asked permission to use their comment, but that won't always be the case. A decree. From now on, leaving a comment on one of our episodes means you legally consent to having said comment featured on this segment of the show, whether you like it or not. What was I saying? Oh, right, the plant's comment is one I particularly like. It starts off with them praising my research and knowledge like a good little exploitable number, but then they start questioning my words regarding Garina for some reason. Originally, I was going to send some drones to their location and make an example, but then it occurred to me that they were onto something. Garina does resemble the Red Ina's design. The idea of Garina being the result of overexposure to this mind-numbing task she is obligated to do, reducing her to some kind of deteriorating remnant of what Red Ina is tragic. But also makes sense from a narrative point. And this isn't the only instance of this. There have been other comments suggesting what Green Ina could mean, and various other inferior theories. Likely due to how little information we have on Greena, so we all imprint our own ideas, way of thinking, or even emotions onto it. Mostly negative, I imagine, due to the nature of this design. Even I'm guilty of it. Greena kind of operates as a Rorschach test in a way. Of course, not for too long. We will learn what she means when the game comes out. Or will we? Considering the lack of narrative in the original Ina series, there is the possibility that Greena's meaning is and will be ambiguous, remaining nothing but a Rorschach to the audience. Could the whole game be up to interpretation? I wonder. Oh well. Now then, for those who missed the stream on Ina Day, and honestly even those who have seen it, there are some easy-to-miss details. The makers of the game are describing this as Season 2 of Ina. This implies that this is simply an Ina later in her life of abstract nonsense. So straight from the horse's mouth we got an answer, eh? Well, then why were they recast? If this is the same Ina, then where is that moaning, moping, miserable mop of melancholy that she turns into? If Barbecue Ina and OG Ina really are the same, then why are all these differences apparent? Rebranding. Obviously, the voices are different because Ina is going to be different, and Ina has been redesigned to account for the completely different kind of story she is going to be a part of. Ina is clearly prone to shapeshifting, especially for the situation she is in. This is probably just what she's going to look like here. They even said there would be reoccurring characters in this stream. Characters who would also look different, not be different variants of their previous lookalikes. If this were Season 2, why would they follow a separate set of characters' adventures? It just doesn't make sense. So, I guess that's it. I, don't know how to, add to this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to pad this out and take more of your time for my personal gain, but I guess I already gave my personal opinion and take as to whether or not this is the same Ina. So, did you know that I have an Inasona? His name is Fine. I have something. So, assuming this is the same Ina, we have to ask, what about the questions that conclusion brings? If this is the same Ina, then what happened to her? As I just mentioned, Ina is prone to shapeshifting depending on her emotional state. And as I established last episode, these versions of her seem to represent her fake sales personality, her true frustrations, and look, your guess is as good as mine. Assuming that interpretation is correct, then what made Ina so bitter? Well, what about what the talking plant suggested? What if this is all a result of exposure to her environment? Having a job you actively don't like can make you more irritable and unhappy, even if you have other things going on in your mind. Ha! Aren't we all? Just ask my full-time editor. Well, now that person is scheduled for execution, Mina has literally stated to hate this job. Whatever that job may be, but assuming she is some door-to-door salesperson or some meat deliverer, I don't think it's only the job that would make her this irritated. Consider this. Why would there need to be a fake salesperson identity to begin with? Simple. She has to put up with people. Whether it's a customer service, simply handing people the meat, being a cashier, a salesperson, or having to knock on their door to try and convince them to buy her already prepared meat. She has to put up with people somehow. And it is clearly not something she enjoys. She has stated in the past that she is, quote, allergic to people. Aren't we all? And the descriptor for the game advertises that in it you will be able to, and I quote, meet different characters who only want you to do things for them. I imagine Mina likely sees the customers this way. Or maybe they will ask Ina to complete ridiculous tasks that her job doesn't pay her enough for. Either way, I imagine it's the dealing with these other characters that will not only play a massive part in the grand story, but also be one of the main problems for Ina to deal with. She is someone who actively hates having to deal with this grating turmoil on a daily basis. And considering that she shapeshifts a lot, who knows what this will eventually turn her into over even more time. Ina could be strapped to a conveyor belt of mental exhaustion, frustration, and emptiness that will lead her to ultimate deterioration. Aren't we all? She is someone who actively hates having to deal with this grating turmoil on a daily basis. Or maybe they will ask Ina to complete ridiculous tasks that her job doesn't pay her enough for. The idea of Garina being the result of overexposure to this mind-numbing task she is obligated to do is tragic.
What? What is it?
Oh, already? Alright. So then, attention all V-heads. I have a request. As you all should know by now, the show is going to be a mainstay on my channel. So before we wrap things up, I'd like to get something cleared up. What shall this show be called? Today, you, the viewer, all get to decide. If I feel like it, leave a comment under this video. That could be a good potential name for this show I host, and I just might pick it. Unless I come up with a better idea on my own, in which case I will disregard all of your suggestions. Anywho, next time we'll be discussing something. Tune in next time. Now like and subscribe.